Safe, enjoyable sex. That's what I'm talking about today. You might wonder why I'm wearing a white coat. It's my old lab coat, laboratory coat. I used to wear this as a school teacher. And as a school teacher, I didn't just teach chemistry, which is where you have the stains on the clothes here. You can see the stain there. And that's from a chemical. So normally I taught chemistry, but I was in charge also of sex education for 850 pupils in my school, 11 to 16-year-olds. So I know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about today's topic, which is basically safe sex, which means using contraception. Now, some of the sexual contraception that is used causes women to be fat. Anything that uses hormones and interrupts their normal hormone cycle, the estrogen and the progesterone cycle, that will disrupt that cycle and it causes women to put on weight. So if you're taking the pill, then you think, well, I'm perfectly all right, but it has side effects and people taking the pill get fat. Ask the people who are taking it, they'll tell you. Now, that is one way, taking pills. Another way is having an implant in the arm. You can put an implant in the arm which releases hormones over time, slow release of hormones, and that also is awful for putting on weight, as I may have mentioned in one of my previous blogs. So anything hormonal is going to mess you up, messes up your natural femininity, and will make you, because you're stressed and so on, it'll make you create cortisol, which will make you fat. So those are out. They should be off the menu. What about a coil? Now, a coil is a spiral piece of stainless steel. It's fitted by a doctor or a technician into your uterus. It's invasive. That means some other, usually a man, will be fiddling around inside, putting this inside you, inside your uterus. And what it does is it stops the implantation, it stops the fertilized eggs from implanting or nesting in the wall of the womb, in the nesty, spongy tissue of the inside of the uterus. And so it's basically causing spontaneous abortion, which is murder. So it's not really an option for a Christian woman, because it also causes pain. It's painful. If it slips out of place, you're in big trouble. And you are causing the death of a prospective new person. So I really would advise you against a coil. Now, a cervical cap. Now, a cap, like if you put a cap on your head, you've got to be measured so it fits your head. The cervix is the neck of the womb, the neck of the uterus, where the vagina goes into the uterus. And that, if you put a cap on it, like a spring-loaded cap, you get it onto the top of your uterus there. It's difficult. If you think, well, darling, I really don't mind you making love and we want to make love, well, give me 15 minutes. Well, by that time, your husband's probably asleep, because it takes time to get the cap in place. And you've also got to put some around the cervical cap, you've got to put some spermicide cream to kill any sperms that might want to sneak round the cap. So, these cervical caps, they need fitting, they're intrusive, they take a long time to put on, and it kills any spontaneity. And because of the spermicide cream, they're also messy. Okay, and they can slip out of place. Spermicide creams, well, a spermicide cream is okay. It kills sperms. Spermicide means kill sperms, like homicide, spermicide. It kills sperms. It needs putting into the vagina with an applicator, like with a tampon. If you use a tampon applicator, you'll be familiar with what I'm talking about. But the spermicide is injected into the vagina, and again, it's messy. The man gets covered in this stuff, and really, it takes a lot of the pleasure out of the act of making love, the intimacy of it. So I don't really recommend these creams, these spermicide creams. Now, what about sodomy? If a woman's had about 3 or 4 kids and her vaginal muscles are not toned, in other words, they're slack, then there's no grip on the penis as he's making love. And therefore the man gets fed up and maybe goes looking for another woman with a tighter vagina, or he says to his wife, turn over, I want to use your anus. And that is prohibited by God. He wiped out a whole city. Sodom was wiped out because of that behavior. So don't ever agree. You're not there to obey your husband. You're only there to obey if he's within the limits of Scripture. Sodomy is prohibited. So what is acceptable? Well, condoms are acceptable. Oh, condoms. These plastic things you slip on the end of the erect penis and so on. They slip off. It takes away any intimacy of flesh-to-flesh contact. But if you want to stop having children and you want to control having children and you want sex between a certain time in your period, then you've got to use condoms. There is a safe time in your period, which is if you call day 1 when you bleed, up to day 5 when you stop bleeding. Then after day 5 to about day 12 or day 14 maybe, depends when you ovulate, you have what's called a safe period. You can have unprotected sex. But after day 12, you need to wear a condom, because if you have unprotected sex and the male sperm is in the vagina, it can live there for a number of days. So the safe period is not too reliable. And the only way knowing whether you've ovulated or not is by a rather complicated method of taking your temperature. And there's a 1 degree dip when you've ovulated. Now, you need to study this for yourself. In 7 minutes, I can't explain everything. But the only way is to ask the Lord and decide the strategy as a couple. Don't use anything hormonal and don't have the coil, but use condoms, use the safe period, and be sensible, or simply abstain and wait until she's safe again. Okay? I hope that little survey helped you. God bless you. You won't see me dressed like this again, I don't suppose. This is David, the science teacher. God bless you. Bye-bye.